Okay, I'll quickly show us how to get an accurate trouser crotch while cutting a trouser, because most persons have been complaining on having an accurate trouser crotch. They do ask, how do one get an accurate trouser crotch while cutting your trouser, or what is trouser crotch? So in this video, I'll quickly show us how to do that. Now, while doing that, these are the various measurements that I'll be working with. We are working with these various measurements. Now, the waist is 36, the thigh is 24, the knee is 20. This is for a short knicker or a short pant, while the 17 is for a long, that is trouser itself. Now, the trouser length is 22, that is the short pant, while the hip is 40. Yes, while taking your trouser measurement, you need to take note of the hip circumference. It's very important. So we'll quickly make use of these various measurements. Now, while cutting a trouser, we'll come across crotch, inseam, outseam. Now, take a look at this. In cutting your trouser, to get your crotch point, 1, you divide your hip by 4. Take note, to get your trouser crotch, 1, you divide your hip by 4. 2, you take direct measurement from the waist to the thigh. Take note, direct measurement from the waist to the thigh. And the last one is, you ask your client or your customer to sit on a flat chair or a flat table, and you measure from the waist down to the buttocks. I normally use this third point while cutting for a high waist. But if I'm cutting for a normal trouser, I either take the hip measurement, divide it by 4, or you measure the waist to thigh point. So having said that, I'll quickly show us using this fabric. Now, the first thing you do is you fold your fabric into 2. Fold your fabric into 2 as shown. In every normal trouser, remember we're making for belts. We're actually cutting for belts. Now, in every trouser cutting, remember that the front waist of every human is lower than that of the back. Take note, the front waist of every human is lower than that of the back. So having said that, my fabric here is straight, so I'll quickly slant this. For the front panel, we are cutting the front panel, so I'll quickly slant this down by 1 inch. Take note, we are slanting this down. This is the straight point while I'm slanting this down. All right, now this represents our waistline. This represents our waistline. Now the next thing I need to get is the crotch point. And for me to get the crotch point, you will divide the hip by 4. Take note, divide the hip by 4. We said the hip of this person is 40. So 40 divided by 4 gives me 10. If you don't use this, in case you forget to measure the hip of the person, what you need to do is you measure from the waist to the thigh. Measure from the waist. So hip divided by 4 is 10. So you subtract 1.5 inch away from the center here. You remove 1.5 inch depending on the height of your waistband. Now the waistband I'll be using is 1.5. So from here you remove 1.5. Then you now mark 10 inches for the crotch. Take note, 10 inches. You still keep your tape there. You keep your tape there, removing the 1.5. The next thing I want to take is a full knicker length. Take note, still remain, you keep your 1.5 there. The next thing you take is the knicker length from here down. The knicker length of this person is 22. So mark 22. Then I'll be adding extra 2 inches allowance there. So at the down, so we're having 24. 24. Alright, so this first line is our waistline. You're sloping it with 1 inch. Now the second line is your thigh line. Divide your hip by 4, or you measure from the waist to thigh will give you this. While this third line is the knicker length. Now the next thing we need to do is, my fabric, I don't know the width of it, so let's say I want to use 14. We're just assuming 14. Now the center of 14 is 7. Take note, so at all the points I'm marking 7. At all the spots here, this is 14, I'm marking 7 to give me the center line. We are marking 7 here. So this is it. So we have our center panel here. So remember, this is the center of this trouser that I want to cut. This is the center here. This is the center here. Okay, so we now have this. All right, so this is the center. So our working will be done from this center line. Now, starting from the knee point, the knee is 20. So from here, dividing your knee by 2, 20 divided by 2 is 10. So from this center, 5 up and 5 down. 5 up, 5 down gives you 20. Now, over to this thigh point. Our focus here is on this thigh point. Now, the thigh of this person is 24. 24 divided by 2, 12. So from this center here, take note, 24 divided by 2 is 12. So from this center here, 6 up, 6 down. Take note, 6 up, 6 down gives you 12. Now, please do not remove your tape. Do not remove your tape. So you move backward by 2. So you mark 2 from here. Take note, just mark 2 from here. And you take that slope line from that 2 point to the waistline. Just make a little slope line. Alright? If you're sewing for an adult, after taking this thigh measurement from this center, you move backward 1.5 and you take a little slope line towards the waist point. Alright? Now, how do you know that this slope point is okay? How do you know? Remember, this is your waist point and this is your thigh point. Now, in between your waist and your thigh lies your hip. Now, the hip of this person is 40. So you divide your hip by 4, giving you 10. How do you know that this back slope we took from here? Remember, from here to here was 2. Then we now move this to the waistline. And how do you know that this point is okay? We said, divide your hip by 4. So from here, this point to this point, we mark 10. So that line is very okay. So now, back to this point, still at this thigh point, we now mark 2 inches. Take note, mark 2 inches this way. Take note, as you can see, they now make a curve like this. You now make a curve. As you can see, you make a curve. This curve that we did is known as our crotch. Take note, this curve in between the leg, this curve we did here is called your crotch. Remember, we also talked about inseam. Now, we now connect this point. We connect this point to this point. So we also connect this point to this point. So we're almost through. Now, this point here represents your inseam, this connection here. Now, this point here represents your outseam. Take note now. So this is how to get an accurate trouser crotch. Now for the waist, you divide your waist by 4. Now the waist of this person is 36. From this line, 36, which is 9. And I'll add in just 1 inch extra. So that is 10. So you now connect this down to this point. So as you can see, the front panel of our trouser is ready. So we'll now do the cutting now. Okay, so as you can see, this is the front panel. So I'll quickly show us the back panel.